Welcome to the High Quality Performance Measurement Data Training Session. Let's review the key characteristics of high quality data. Number 1, validity and reliability. Number 2, completeness. Number 3, consistency. Number 4, accuracy. Number 5, verifiability. And number 6, red flags. The conclusions drawn about whether your program has led to the change you wanted to make are only as good as the data these conclusions are based on. If we collect bad data, then we won't have an accurate picture of the progress we've made. So what is high quality performance measurement data? High quality performance measurement data is information that accurately, consistently, and reliably reflects what really happened before, during, and/or after program services were provided. Collecting high quality data is so important because with this data, you can more effectively determine whether you've achieved what you set out to do. When your data is good, you can make more thoughtful, informed decisions about your program. In the next several slides, we will talk about how we know data is high quality. Specifically, what are the key characteristics of high quality data? First, I'm going to briefly define each of the characteristics of high quality data, and then we will dig into each one into more detail. Remember that the quality of your data is completely dependent upon the quality of the tools and processes that you use to collect your data. The way that you get high quality data is by using appropriate and high quality data collection tools and processes. The first characteristic of high quality data is validity. Valid data collection tools measure what they are supposed to measure and do it consistently. This characteristic is about whether we are measuring what we think we are measuring and whether our measures stay the same over time and in different situations. If data is valid and reliable, this means that it represents what we think it represents over and over again. Data cannot be valid and reliable if the tools used to collect the data are not valid and reliable. The other characteristics of high quality data are related to the processes you use to collect the data. The first of these characteristics is how well the data we collect cover what we are trying to measure. Completeness. We have complete data if it includes information on all participants served and all services provided. In other words, to be complete, our data needs to represent everything we want to measure about our programs and services. Consistency. We have consistent data when we use the same data collection tools and processes to measure our metrics across all program sites and all participants. This is particularly important for larger programs that may vary across sites. To ensure we have high quality data, we must use the same measurement process throughout our entire program. Accuracy. Accurate data are error-free. It is critically important to review data for accuracy. Double and triple checks are important. If our data is inaccurate, then we draw inaccurate conclusions about our programs. Verifiability. We have verifiable data when we can show that the information is complete and correct. Number 1, validity. Let's talk about each of these characteristics in more detail. The first of the characteristics is validity. The key to validity is in the tools you use to collect your data. To determine whether your performance measures or tools will result in data that is valid, ask yourself, does my data collection tools provide information that I need to understand whether I'm meeting my program objectives? Essentially, you want to be sure your measures are assessing what you think they are measuring. If you're providing reading tutoring services and your output objective is to provide 25 hours of tutoring to 200 students each year, your tools must track the number of students you tutor and indicate how often and for how long they receive tutoring. Question for the group. What tools could you use to measure this output objective? If your outcome objective is to increase reading comprehension by 1 grade level, your data collection tools must measure changes in reading comprehension skills. If your outcome objective is to increase school attachment, your tools must measure the aspects of school attachment, such as a survey that asks how many students say they like school, whether they say they feel their teachers care about them, and whether they say they get along with other students. Again, each question in the survey must relate to an attitude, belief, or feeling that could be directly related to the services you are providing. High quality data must be valid. In other words, if you're not measuring what you think you are measuring, then you will not have the data that you can use to understand whether you've met your program's objectives. Valid data collection tools not only measure what they are supposed to measure, but they also meet WSC, Serve Washington, and CNCS requirements for reporting. We will help you make sure that your program is meeting all requirements as we conduct individual program quality reviews. Output tools measure all services provided and participants served. Outcome tools measure whether you've made the change you intended to see. Outcome tools should measure concepts, skills, etc. that are directly related to the objectives you've identified and the services you've provided. If your objective is to increase reading comprehension and you provide tutoring to achieve that objective, your data collection tool should ask questions related to the participant's ability to comprehend written passages and specifically measure concepts related to comprehension that you've addressed in your tutoring curriculum. For example, if you want to improve students' ability to identify a paragraph's topic sentence and your reading curriculum tutors students about topic sentences, your measure tool should include questions that indicate whether or not students can identify a topic sentence of a paragraph or a passage. If your objective is to increase reading comprehension among third graders and you provide tutoring to achieve that objective, your data collection tool should ask questions related to reading comprehension. For example, if you want to improve students' ability to identify a paragraph's topic sentence and your reading curriculum tutors students about topic sentences, your measure tool should include questions that show whether or not students can identify a topic sentence of a paragraph or passage, and those reading passages and topic sentences should be appropriate for third graders. If serving young children, the tool should be understandable at this age level. If serving seniors who don't speak English, you may want a survey in the home language. Surveys and tests that are too long or have too many items may confuse people. They may skip questions or make guesses without reading the questions. The WRFIT program addresses the problem of obesity among local, low-income teens. One of its outcome objectives is to reduce body mass index among 200 participating teens by 20% over the course of a year. A valid tool for measuring progress towards this objective would be a height-weight scale with a BMI calculation. For the WRFIT program, an invalid tool would be a scale alone. Another example of an invalid tool. This financial literacy program was designed to teach participants basic financial concepts to enhance their understanding of these concepts and improve the financial decisions they make in their lives, such as how much to save or how much to spend on housing. The assessment shown here asks participants about their satisfaction with the program. A valid assessment tool for the program would measure knowledge gains and include questions directly related to the content of the financial literacy training offered, rather than questions about program satisfaction. Note that the questions and the training itself should be appropriate for the participants, such as financial literacy training for college students would have a different focus than training for seniors, and the questions included in the assessment tool would reflect not only the different content, but also the different audience. To collect high-quality data, the first step is to review your data collection tools and make sure they are designed to collect valid data. Compare the data the tools collect by looking at the questions you are asking and the numbers you are counting, to your program's objective, and to the content of services provided. Do the tools directly address the objectives? Do they align with the content? If they do, then the tools are valid. If not, this means that using them will lead to data that is not high quality, and therefore you will not be able to draw accurate conclusions about your progress towards meeting your program's objectives. Number 2, completeness. The second characteristic of high-quality data is that it is complete. Complete data sets include consistently reported data on both outputs, including all services provided, the number of people served, and all locations where the services were offered, outcomes for all participants or services. Programs serving a large number may be able to provide data for an approved subset or sample of participants and services. Outputs completeness is about collecting numbers on all who served and all services provided, whereas outcomes completeness is about assessing outcomes for all who were served and all the services provided. This is an example of complete data about a tutoring program. As you can see, all data is current and represents both outputs and outcomes fully. What makes this data incomplete? The lists of classes and tutors are not current. The logs are incomplete. Outcomes are only assessed for English learners. Number 3, consistency. We want to make sure we are always comparing oranges to oranges, not apples to oranges. For data collection, this means we have consistent data. All must use the same tools and methods to collect data to get consistent data. In other words, everyone tracks and collects the same information using the same tools at the same points in time in the process. That means before, during, and after. In this example, we can see that Oak Street School ensures that all tutors log using the same system. They all assess their students at the same 3 points in time, entry, midpoint, and completion, and they use the same assessment tool to assess their students. How about Elm Street School? What makes the data they are collecting inconsistent? The data Elm Street School collects will not be usable to draw accurate conclusions because of all the inconsistencies. Number 4, accuracy. Accuracy is just what you think. Data that doesn't have any errors. This sounds obvious, but for larger programs, it can be easier said than done. Skipping a number, adding an extra 0. It's amazing how easy it is to do this, especially if you're in a hurry to meet reporting deadline. It's also amazing how hard it can be to see, especially if you're the person who inputs the data. To ensure accurate data, it is very important that there are several checks of the data built into the systems and processes. The key to accurate data is checking again and again. When you're working with lots of numbers, it pays to spend time checking. This slide illustrates an example of accurate data to point out a couple of important things to look for when checking your data. Make sure the numbers add up correctly. If there are a total of 200 participants in the program, then when the numbers of participants at separate sites are added together, the numbers should not add up to more than 200. Each participant is only counted once, even if they participate in more than one service. This is an example of inaccurate data. This particular characteristic of high-quality data is probably the easiest to address if there's an issue. It involves thinking about where mistakes are likely to be made and putting time and effort in, and checks and balances, into ensuring errors don't happen. Number 5, verifiability. The final characteristic of high-quality data is related to accuracy. It is about making sure that your data can be verified. In other words, if someone else checks your data, can your numbers be proven to be correct? Other synonyms could be tested, confirmed, or substantiated. Double-check output numbers for possible duplication or inconsistencies. Are the numbers much higher than you anticipated? Is it feasible that the higher number could have been served? Were participants counted twice? Did staff estimate participation? Recalculate outcome percentages to ensure they are accurate. If the percentage meeting the objective is higher than is expected, is the math right? In general, the percentage who achieved the outcome should be a subset of the number served. If you have trouble verifying your data, this usually means there are inaccuracies that haven't been caught yet. The key is to take time to find out what is causing the issues and to correct the problem. Red flags. This table shows the discrepancies to be checked during the process of verifying your data. In this case, the number of people served is double the output target objective. This doesn't seem reasonable. So in this case, you need to ask yourself and staff some questions. Did some participants get counted twice? Or were staff simply able to serve more? Were more recruited? Were twice as many classes offered? The number of participants with increased knowledge, outcome, is exactly the same as the number of program participants, output, served. Again, this seems unlikely. Usually with data, when the numbers seem too good to be true, there is typically some error or some reason that explains the result. Some possible explanations include: the program is extremely effective in achieving improved financial knowledge among program participants. Not very likely. The number of individuals with improved financial knowledge is not being measured correctly. Here is another example of a table with a discrepancy worth checking into. The number of individuals affected by disaster receiving assistance from members is a large round number. Possible explanations: members served exactly 2,000 individuals over the course of the program year. The number of individuals receiving assistance from members is estimated, not actual. To verify your data, you will need to determine where the number 2000 came from and ensure it's an actual count rather than an estimate. Let's review what we've learned. Validity and reliability. The data means what they're supposed to mean, or whether data collected and reported appropriately relates to the program model. Completeness. Everyone is reporting a full set of data. A program can adequately collect enough information to fully represent an activity, a population, and/or a sample. Consistency. Everyone is using the same data collection methods or the extent to which the data is collected using the same procedures and definitions across collectors and sites over time. Accuracy. The math is correct and the extent to which the data appeared to be free from significant errors. Verifiability. There is proof that the data is correct. The extent to which recipients follow practices that govern data collection, aggregation, review, maintenance, and reporting. And finally, red flags. Actuals that are exactly the same as the target value or consist solely of round numbers. Outcome actuals that exceed outputs. And outcome actuals that are exactly the same as outputs. There are 5 key characteristics of high-quality data for you to think about. The quality of the data is closely linked to the data collection tools you use. To make sure your data are of the highest quality, you must start with ensuring your tools are of the highest quality and measure what they are supposed to measure. Next, you must ensure that the processes and systems you have set up for collecting data facilitate completeness, consistency, accuracy, and verifiability. Data is power. When we have good data, we can make real change that has impact on those we want to help. Thanks for watching this session. We ask that each of you complete a short survey to provide feedback on the session. Please use the link in the YouTube description to complete the survey. Your answers are confidential to the program research staff.